Hello, today I'm looking at Majjhima Nikaya number 63, which is the Culamalunkya Sutta, translated as the shorter discourse to Malunkya Putta. And the location is Savatthi, Jetta's Grove, Anathapindika's Park, and the people involved are Malunkya Putta, who's a follower, a monk, a bhikkhu, of Buddhas, and Buddha. And the topic of this sutta would appear to be about the metaphysics. And it starts with Malunkya Putta, who's sitting alone meditating. And as he's meditating, he thinks that there are several speculative views that the Blessed One, that is Buddha, has set aside and discarded, or not discussed, namely whether the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, whether the world is finite or is infinite, whether the soul is the same as the body, or whether the soul is one thing and the body another. After death, a Tathagata exists, or after death, does a Tathagata not exist? After death, does a Tathagata both exist and not exist? Or after death, does a Tathagata neither exist nor does not exist? Buddha has not shared these thoughts with me, so I shall go to the Blessed One and ask him the meaning of this, Malunkya Putta says. If he gives me a direct answer to these questions, I will continue to follow him. If he does not give me a direct answer, I shall disrobe and leave the order. So that evening, Malunkya Putta goes to Buddha and poses his questions about the world, the soul and death. And in the sutta itself, it repeats the statements as said before. Buddha replies by way of a question. Did I ever say to you, Malunkya Putta, lead the holy life? I will teach you that the world is eternal or not eternal. The world is finite or infinite. The soul is the same as the body or is separate from the body. That a Tathagata after death exists or does not exist, or both or neither. No, Venerable Sir, replies Malunkya Putta. And, Buddha continues, did you ever tell me, I will lead the holy life under the Blessed One, and the Blessed One will declare to me, the world is eternal, not eternal, or finite or infinite. The soul is the same as the body, is separate from the body. A Tathagata after death exists or does not exist, or both or neither. No, Venerable Sir, replies Malunkya Putta. That being so then, says Buddha, misguided man, who are you and what are you abandoning? If anyone should say thus, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One, until the Blessed One declares the world is eternal, not eternal, finite, infinite, the soul is the same as the body, is separate from the body, a Tathagata exists after death or does not exist, or both or neither, that would still remain unsaid by the Tathagata, and meanwhile the person would die. Suppose, Malunkya Putta, a man were wounded by an arrow smeared with poison, and his friends brought a doctor to treat him. And the wounded man would say, I will not let the doctor pull out the arrow with the poison on until I know whether the man who wounded me was a nobleman, a Brahmin, or a worker. I will not let the doctor pull out the arrow until I know the name and clan of the man who wounded me, whether he was short or tall or middle height, whether he was dark or brown or light-skinned, whether he lives in a village or a town or a city, whether the bow that was used was a longbow or a crossbow, whether the bowstring was fibre or reed or hemp or bark, whether the feathers of the arrow shaft were from a vulture, a hawk, or even an eagle. All this, Malunkya Putta, would still not be known to this man, and meanwhile he would die. So too, if anyone should say this, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One until the Blessed One declares the world is eternal or not eternal, finite or infinite. The soul is the same as the body, is separate from the body. A Tathagata exists after death or does not exist, or both or neither. That would still remain undeclared by the Tathagata, and meanwhile that person would die. Malankya Putta. If there is the view the world is eternal, the holy life cannot be lived. If there is the view the world is not eternal, and the holy life cannot be lived. Whether this is the view the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, there is still birth, aging and death. There is still sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. This assertion is then repeated as to the question, is the world finite or infinite? And is the soul the same as the body, or is the soul one thing and the body another? And after death, does the Tathagata exist or not exist, or both or neither? Whatever the view is, there is birth, there is aging, there is death. There is sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. Therefore, Malankya Putta, remember what I have left undeclared as undeclared. Remember what I have declared as declared. And what have I left undeclared? The world is eternal, I have left undeclared. The world is not eternal, I have left undeclared. The world is finite, I have left undeclared. The world is infinite, I have left undeclared. The soul is the same as the body, I have left that undeclared. The soul is one thing, the body another, I have left that undeclared. After death a Tathagata exists, I have left undeclared. After death a Tathagata does not exist, I have left undeclared. After death a Tathagata both exists and does not exist, left undeclared. After death a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist, left undeclared. And why have I left these things undeclared? Because it is unbeneficial. It does not belong to the fundamentals of the holy life. It does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to tranquility, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I've left it undeclared. And what have I declared? I have declared this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. I've also declared this is the cessation of suffering. I've declared. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. I've also declared. That is the Four Noble Truths. Why have I declared that? Because it is beneficial. Because it belongs to the fundamentals of the holy life. It leads to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to tranquility, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment and to nibbana. That is why I've declared it. Therefore, Malankya Putta, remember what I have left undeclared as undeclared, and remember what I have declared as declared. This is what the Blessed One said, and the Venerable Malankya Putta was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. And there ends Majjhima Nikaya number 63. Thanks for watching.